Thank you very much and good morning. I'd like to thank the John Oldacre Foundation for their generous sponsorship of my study, Stephen Watkins, John Stones and Mike Vacher for their support over the last 2 years, and Anne Beckett for making a report out of the jumble of words that I sent to her. So why did I choose a communication topic? Essentially because I'm not very skilled at it. I've often found myself frustrated at our staff because they did what I said and not what I meant. Born and bred a Staffordshire dairyman, I am at my happiest in the calving shed, bringing new life into the world. I enjoy talking to my cows. My other passion is talking with children and trying to inspire them. We're a well-established host of the Country Trust, a charity that involves getting underprivileged kids onto British farms. They say don't work with children and animals, but it's the grown-ups I've struggled with. I identified my lack of communication skills as a restrictive force in our business. We have to expand as a dairy, and we've taken on a second unit. My occasional verbal communication is no longer sufficient. I began by visiting Adrian van Bisterveld because I needed to learn fast, and Nuffield had given me this opportunity. He was at Lincoln University in Christchurch. He took me on a tour of farm governance and explained why it is a good place to start when considering improving communication. Governance is defined as the systems by which businesses are organised and controlled. It relates to the self-employed labourer as much as the multinational corporation. As we expand our business, we move away from our operational duties and become governors of our business. We decide where we want it to go, at what speed, and what decisions must be made to make it happen. By clearly describing the roles and responsibilities to our staff, we help in giving them a feeling of belonging and responsibility. They know what their role in the operation is, and as a result, are more likely to ask for help. The earlier in the development of business that good governance is established, the easier it is to ensure that it is practiced, maintained, and developed as the business grows. The theory is the easy part, though. It is the most important process is about understanding the different ways in which a good culture can be established. Some organisations are prescriptive in the functions that they can perform. This gives them certainty, but limits their ability to express themselves, both intellectually and managerially. This system often involves a written set of protocols. It minimises risk, but reduces the space for innovation. The second governance pathway is to stipulate the boundaries around the business that the staff are not permitted to cross. These can be ethical, environmental, and integrity-based. Management is then allowed to be more instinctive and adaptable. This can be a higher risk, but can help the personal development and motivation of the people. It's like the rugby team, where the rules dictate what you can do, the coach provides vision, but the players are able to demonstrate their skill in the team environment. As an advocate of team sport, I prefer this route, but it does, however, need greater ongoing communication to make it work. Any discussions must be based on openness and honesty. The worst combination is an employee who is dishonest and motivated. Kim and Ollie farm Maori-owned land near Lake Taupo in New Zealand. Although improvements in productivity are a key part of their business, progress is achieved while adhering to strict Maori values, ensuring people and natural resources are nurtured. Ollie says, we operate a system based on the 4 principles of honesty, communication, grass and water. The key staff performance driver and motivational tool is the $5 board, where good and poor performance is detailed. The culture in this business is to give people responsibility, but for them to have accountability for their actions. There is the opportunity here for staff members to be rewarded for individual effort and excellence. With each addition to the $5 board, there is a chance to give feedback, and for each employee, either positive feedback for a specific job well done, or corrective feedback using positive language. This shows them there's a better way to operate. The $5 board is the starting point for the annual review, as it outlines the strengths and weaknesses of the previous year's efforts of an individual. In the centre is Mike Trubshaw. He's the managing supervisor of 7 dairy units run by Rangitata Dairies. Mike says that you can't try to motivate people if the basics are not in place. You need to provide what they see as a fair wage, provide a safe working environment, and any housing provision needs to be of sufficient quality that you'd be prepared to live in it. Mike endeavours to only employ people who demonstrate the drive and do-well attitude. He has developed what he calls the Ute test. Mike drives up to a closed gate, and if the prospective candidate has not undone his seatbelt, and is halfway out of the door before the vehicle stops, you're not likely to get the job. He tells me this with a half smile, knowing that he's performed that on his visitor for the day about 20 minutes before. Jürgen Kröhr has been carrying out research into the greatest challenges facing farmers in Denmark. One of the main challenges he's identified is of getting commitment and enthusiasm from the workforce. Jürgen's phrase commitment and enthusiasm can be viewed as engagement. Engaged employees see that their contribution makes a difference to the business. They tend to be more productive, have a lower accident rate and stay longer in a particular job. Jürgen said how important he thought it was for owners to remain in control of themselves, no matter what the circumstances. Even in the most trying of times, if the owner is seen to be in control, the staff will believe that any problem can be overcome. The greatest force in moderating us as farmers is our partner. The number of staff I might have got through without a soothing word or a quiet hand from Janti is quite frightening. Many of the best conversations I've had on my travels were with people who regularly spoke to their partner to discuss where they're going. They had a clear knowledge of what they're trying to achieve. Greg and Jerry Glover near Hamilton in New Zealand have defined excellence of governance, have redefined excellence in governance in their dry stock business. Kim and Ollie's values are very clear. Ezra and Katerina Lehman had found great strength in each other. In the most challenging times, it's amazing how powerful it is to know that someone else is fighting for you, to lift you out of the conflict. Making time for personal relationships can release what one couple termed as the power of two. My rudimentary math says that 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4. 1 becomes 4. Imagine that engaging all your staff could do for your business. As business leaders, we thrive on challenge. We like change, we embrace it, and enjoy problem solving. This is where much of our job satisfaction comes from. Herdsmen tend to be reliable, dependable, habitual people. These are all commendable traits that makes them good at their job. But they don't relish change. Many find it uncomfortable, a few threatening. We should be able to develop the skills to interpret and communicate change, not resort to instructing and imposing it. Suzanne Paystrup is a Danish independent dairy consultant. Her view is that managing change is one of the greatest challenges in managing people. It is initially about creating the right atmosphere. Explaining clearly the motivation behind the need to change is essential, but the reaction to it will vary between individuals. Understanding the 4 phases of change management will help. These phases are shock. We can't do that. Reaction. I've tried that before, it didn't work. Adapt. If we change the way we do certain things, then I suppose it could work. And finally, accept. How can I help to make this work? All people go through these stages, but at different speeds. And as managers, we must be aware when to listen and allow time, and when to begin pushing forward. In Wellington, Chris Kelly changed the structure of Landcorp when first becoming its CEO. No small task with 573 full-time employees. Management practice was altered from being organised by region to by sector. Chris said that in his experience, it's impossible to predict how people will react to change. Some will embrace it, others rally against it, and those individuals cannot be identified before the implementation. All you can do is control your approach to their reaction. Most people need to see a personal benefit to them of a change, to be truly committed to it. Success is about recognising what the gain is for each person and explaining the relationship between the farm goal, their involvement, and the potential benefits for them. In the United States, I met Juan Quesada, who is tasked with the health and safety responsibility for 300 staff on 7 sites in Wisconsin, milking 30,000 cows. He's the most natural communicator that I've ever met. Juan had begun his milking career for the business in the team, milking cows. But the management of the business had noticed how he took a real interest in people. He remembered how many children they had, when their birthdays were. They figured that if health and safety was become part of the way their team thought and acted, they need someone who cared for the staff, not somebody who cared about rules. There is a mutual respect between different employment levels in this business, and is partly created by the freedom with which information circulates within it. A poor leader will protect his position by retaining information for fear of being seen to be ineffective. Here, they know they're performing well, They have no such insecurities, and they greatly increase their worth by sharing their information. Juan loves to pass on his knowledge to others, but he said, "It is realizing the potential of others that drives his passion, not the imparting of his knowledge in itself." Of all the time that I travelled and all the people I met, this is the single line that most resonated with me. It explained why we get so much enthusiasm from our work with the Country Trust. To summarise, communication from the top down is all about clarity of message and transparency of motive. Set, manage and live up to expectations. Man management is not complicated. Select and employ really good people and make the situation a happy one so that they want to exceed your expectations. And finally, I have found that it is the importance placed on making time for communication that is the one factor that sets the most successful managers apart. They have made the step from being an operator to being a governor. Thank you.